The whine of atmospheric re-entry shrieked in the distance, a discordant symphony tearing through the summer night. From the heart of the landing zone, General Marcus Thorne stared upward at the streaks of fire carving the midnight sky. His grip tightened on the worn handle of his field binoculars as he tracked the fiery trails. This wasn't a meteor shower, and it certainly wasn't some freak satellite malfunction. This was the opening act of an invasion, Earth's baptism by fire into a galactic reality we never suspected existed. The year is 2097, and the Earth was now at war. The trails terminated in a series of ear-splitting booms as the pods breached the lower atmosphere. General Thorne barked orders, the gears of the human war machine grinding into motion. For decades, the world had prepared for conflict with its own kind. Armies trained, weapons were forged, all in the grim anticipation of the next global war. Now, that petty human squabbling seemed like a child's tantrum compared to the existential threat looming over their heads. Out of the landing pods marched the first wave of the invaders. They were an insectoid race, bipedal, with chitinous armor plating their bodies instead of skin. Their segmented limbs held weapons that crackled with otherworldly energy. Thorne had briefed his men on the intelligence gathered from the few scattered skirmishes that preceded the main invasion. The aliens were ruthless, offering no quarter to the outmatched garrisons they overran. It was a war of extermination, an ugly truth that sent a bitter chill down his spine. The human lines braced for impact. The first line of tanks roared, the opening salvos tearing into the advancing Xeno troops. To Thorne's grim satisfaction, the enemy ranks buckled under the concentrated fire. It was a victory, a small victory, and perhaps a fleeting one, but enough to stoke a desperate ember of hope in the heart of every soldier present. Despite the initial success, the tide shifted with horrifying speed. The aliens adapted, flanking maneuvers carving through the human defenses with brutal efficiency. For every alien that fell, 2 more emerged from seemingly endless reserves. The sky was alight with alien dropships and swarming fighter craft. Even the vaunted air superiority that mankind prided itself on was crumbling beneath this overwhelming force. Thorne found himself in the thick of battle, no longer an aloof general, but simply a soldier fighting for his survival. His battered rifle spat in defiance, felling alien soldiers, but the encroaching wave seemed unstoppable. His ordered retreat devolved into a desperate scramble as his forces were routed on all fronts. The world's most powerful armies, the pride of nations, were reduced to scattered remnants under the relentless extraterrestrial assault. In those darkest hours, as cities burned and nations fractured, it seemed humanity was on the precipice of annihilation. But there was something about humans, a defiant spirit that refused to be extinguished. From the ashes of defeat rose an unorthodox strategy, guerrilla warfare. Across continents, the survivors regrouped. Soldiers, civilians, men and women alike, it didn't matter anymore. They all shared a single burning purpose: to survive. They were led by men like Thorne, battle-hardened veterans who refused to concede the planet they called home. Bases were carved into mountainsides, hidden within sprawling forests, and swallowed by the labyrinthine urban underbelly. The humans struck from shadows. They sabotaged supply lines, assassinated high-ranking alien officers, and hit vital infrastructure in lightning raids before melting back into the environment. It was a desperate, brutal war of attrition, fought not for territory, but for every precious breath. The invaders weren't used to this kind of resistance. Their conquests followed a predictable pattern: crush the military, subjugate the populace, and strip the planet of resources. On Earth, there was no clear hierarchy to topple, no organized surrender. Every human was a potential combatant. It was a nightmare scenario for any occupying force. With each passing month, the humans learned more about their enemy. They hacked into crude alien communication networks, dissected captured technology, and interrogated prisoners. Thorne, despite his initial hatred for the invaders, realized they weren't mindless drones. They had a culture, a language, a twisted sense of honor that prioritized strength. He began to exploit these insights, setting traps and luring the aliens into ambushes where terrain and tactics leveled the playing field. It wasn't enough to turn the tide, but it kept the fire of resistance alive. It bought humanity time, precious time that scientists working in hidden laboratories began to utilize. They reverse-engineered alien weapons, piecing together a patchwork arsenal of cobbled-together lasers, plasma cannons, and alien contraptions humanity barely understood how to operate. It was reckless, dangerous, and sometimes disastrous. But it was something. News of mankind's defiance spread far beyond the scorched battlefields of Earth. Alien propaganda had painted humans as a primitive, easily subdued species. The protracted conflict, a thorn in the side of the invasion force, became proof that humanity was far more dangerous than initially assumed. Whispers of the unchained humans, wild, tenacious, defiant of conventional conquest, began to circulate amongst the higher tiers of alien command. There were talks of scorched Earth tactics, of obliterating Earth to end this costly defiance, but these were met with hesitation. The invaders were conquerors, not exterminators, and they had come to this planet with a specific purpose. While Earth itself held little strategic value, it was a gateway to a resource-rich sector of space, and a completely irradiated world would be of little use. Then came an offer, disguised as an ultimatum. An alien representative reached out to what remained of the human leadership, not with the expected demand for surrender, but with a challenge. The alien commander respected strength, and while humanity had proven an annoyance, it still lacked the capability to truly drive out the invaders. The challenge was simple: a duel. An ancient form of conflict resolution practiced across numerous galactic cultures. Humans would select a champion, the aliens would do the same. The two would face off on neutral ground, the outcome deciding Earth's fate. Victory for the invaders would result in humanity submitting and becoming a slave race. Victory for humanity. Well, the aliens claimed they would leave peacefully, though after their experience on Earth, Thorne doubted that. The world held its breath. This seemed like a ploy, a way to demoralize the last remnants of resistance. Yet, there was a sliver of hope, a desperate, foolish gamble that humanity couldn't afford to ignore. General Marcus Thorne, veteran of 1,000 battles, scarred and unyielding, was mankind's obvious choice. He would be their champion, their unlikely savior. At this moment, Earth's destiny rested on his shoulders.